So hello everybody, Dr. Jackson here, and I have an opportunity to talk to some really wonderful people. And today I'm talking to Rebecca Colett, who's, as you can see, is a female, a sister, but more than that, she's actually lives in Detroit and is the CEO of a company that does cannabis. And so we'll talk about some of the cannabis and her history and the medical uses of it and the struggles she's gone through to get her company going. So Rebecca, how's it going?
It's going wonderful.
Cool. So tell us about yourself. You know, where you born, any siblings, all kind of stuff. So.
Okay, yeah. Born and raised in Detroit. The youngest of all girls. Went away to college at a HBCU, FAMU in Tallahassee. Then went to business school and then went to get a technology degree and came back to Detroit literally this year to really take advantage of the opportunities that are in the cannabis space, and then also to spearhead the lack of diversity in the cannabis space. Because right now, less than 5% of all licensed operators are of color, which is ridiculous. And even less than that are women of color. So
is that in your state? I'm sorry, is that 5%?
That's in America.
In America?
In the United States.
Okay, in the US, okay. Less than 5% of all the cannabis producers are of color or sisters.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, what turned you on to it? How did you get involved in cannabis?
I mean, really it was because of my dad. My dad was a vet, and he was experiencing a myriad of ailments, PTSD, CPOD, aches and pains, sleep apnea, etc. And he was on so many pills from the VA, so many. He took so much medicine, and I realized that the medicine, the side effects were worse than his ailments, like the side effects he had from all the medicine. So we tried to research some different alternative ways of healing, like cannabis, because it was legal at the time in the state of Michigan. However, on the federal level, it's still illegal. So there was an issue with him using his federal benefits, VA benefits, you know, for medical cannabis that's only legal on the state state level.
Right.
So, you know, I just really became real passionate about the fact that these men and women can serve their country, leave their families, harm their minds and bodies, and they can't smoke weed. You know, they can't treat themselves how they want to be treated. Like, you know, my dad served in the military for a very long time, and you know, in the end, I believe he would still be here if he didn't go to the military. But you know, so I just became really passionate about the fact that vets didn't have access. I thought vets should be treated better than they get treated now.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my entry point, and I started lobbying in DC and on different state capitals for veteran access. And then I realized at these conferences and stuff that I was oftentimes the only Black woman there. And then I started realizing the disparities on that front as well. So I just became real passionate about inclusion.
Right.
And access.
Okay. Yeah, my dad was also in Vietnam, and even though he didn't die there, I think something inside him did. And so
yes,
the whole PTSD,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
And so he transitioned a couple of years ago. I think he may have transitioned from a brain aneurysm, and so, or had a heart attack or something like that. And so, unfortunately, my mom and dad got divorced when I was a toddler, so I didn't really interact with him that much. But back to you, though. You are more than just a cannabis grower. You said you have some background in technology. So tell us about that. You got a degree in computer science, or?
Yeah. So, computer science from Georgia Tech. Most of my technology experiences in software development. More recently, because I still do work in technology because I love technology. So more recently, I've consulted with an artificial intelligence startup. I'm really passionate now about change management and organizational efficiency as it comes to how engineers deliver software.
Okay.
So that is my specialty, and I consult with startups and huge corporations
Okay.
in regards to that.
Okay. So have you ever experienced virtual reality?
Yes.
You have? Okay, 'cause that's my background. So I have a PhD in computer engineering, and my dissertation was actually studying the speed to create the graphics for virtual reality. And then when I got my degree, I got hired by Boeing and did research in VR and AR, augmented reality. And then I switched over to digital media production. But so, I mean, is there a way we could combine the computer science, virtual reality side with some cannabis?
You know, yeah, I mean, I know we are working on some software stuff now, especially on the cultivation side. I think in regards to the cannabis industry, the most technology innovation can come on the cultivation side. That's my personal belief. So definitely looking at creating technology on that end. But I have to think about, I mean, you know, one thing we've developed a virtual reality tour of our cultivation facility that helps us in pitching to potential investors and also to regulators.
Right.
So that has been a great tool and I think a great way for us to have a competitive edge. You know, most people have their drawings in a PDF.
Right.
And we have this full tour where you can walk into different rooms and see videos of Latoya and I. So look at it from the outside, look at the parking lot. It's,
right.
You know, it's crazy.
Okay. It is crazy because especially in this current COVID situation. And now we're having, you know,
that's why we did it.
Learning and stuff. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned your partner. So tell us more about your partner.
Yeah, so Latoya, my partner, she is our head of cultivation and operations. She's been a caregiver since really it's been legal to do so in the state of Michigan. So 2009, medical caregivers became legal, and she's been a caregiver with us for 10 years, really caring for patients in the Metro Detroit area with various ailments, cancer, epilepsy, lupus, you name it. She has a myriad of success stories and a myriad of product lines that are well known in the Michigan area.
Okay.
So putting it on their body topically is the method of use for them. And it's been my mission since 2009 to educate as many women as possible on the cannabis plant. It's female, and I feel like that's the lane for us. My background is in biology, so it made sense for me to grow cannabis. I had to convince my family, had to convince my friends that this was something that I wanted to do. But when I did, people understood, and it's been my mission ever since to grow this plant, to educate people, to educate our community. I really just believe in this plant. I believe in the power and what it can do for people. That's my motivation, and that's why I do it. I do it for the patients. I do it because it is medicine, and I wanted to be a doctor. So cannabis is the form of medicine that I prescribe to my patients. I'm not a MD, but I consider myself a holistic health practitioner in cannabis.
So how long has your business been going? So over a decade, right?
Yeah, so we've been operating some smaller scale grows throughout the Detroit area since 2009. And in 2016, 17, the commercial licenses became available. So we've been working on this process for 2 years now.
Okay, so what was the hardest thing that you've done in the last year? An accomplishment?
Well, really, okay, so the Michigan state licensing process is 2 phases of approvals you need to have to get your actual license. Many say that the first phase is the most difficult, which requires all your plans, business plans, pro formas, architectural drawings, real estate, insurance, background checks, finances. It's very, very detailed and strenuous process. And we successfully completed that about 2 months ago now, I think, or a month and a half. So when we reached that milestone, it was definitely like a great weight off of our shoulders. Because it's kind of now like the sky is the limit. Because once you kind of have that stamp of approval from the state,
Right.
doors open up.
Right. Congratulations on that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
And so, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but I know that I've actually watched the Ice-T documentary about cannabis. And on Netflix, they have a series of cooking shows, cooking with cannabis. And so maybe you could talk about some of the uses of cannabis beyond just the medical side, you know?
Yeah,
So-
that would be great. So our product line actually includes flour. There's a lot of flower lovers out there, but the majority of our clientele really loves our edible line, especially, you know, more elderly people or people with terminal illnesses. They maybe can inhale smoke. You know, they don't like smoke. So our gummy line is very popular. We also have an array of like special order edibles that people use like at parties and stuff, like our popcorn, cookies, stuff like that. People do those in social settings. And then our topical line is actually very popular too. Very popular amongst cancer patients. People also very popular amongst athletes that have chronic pain and muscle pain, or maybe they had an injury. Our THC, you know, a lot of topical cream is mostly CBD or other cannabinoids, but we try to make sure to include THC in our topical cream because we've seen it help our patients over the years. You know, sometimes when people are really sick, they need that THC. And some people don't want to ingest it and have that mental high, but they want to have that body relief. So our topical line is really popular. And then next year, you know, after the COVID era, we plan on having like private cannabis dinner events. It's going to be twofold. One, to educate people in a relaxed environment, much like I'm talking to you now, just about ways they can consume, strain, stuff like that. And then we'll also just introduce them to different plant-based food. Latoya and I are both vegan. I've personally been vegan for 5 years, and I'm just really passionate about exposing communities of color to different ways of eating. So we want a dinner that's fun, you know, we're gonna have entertainment and stuff like that, and people gonna be having fun, but we also want it to be educational and healthy and all about wellness, because that's the whole reason we're in this cannabis industry, is because of wellness, well-being. We want people to be well using plants. So I want to portray that even in our dinner series that hopefully we can do next year, you know, after COVID. Yeah.
There's so many levels there because you're talking about food deserts, right?
Yes,
you're talking about being a vegan. I mean, and those, I mean, as an African American, stereotypically, we live in food deserts because, you know, we live in the hood and everything like that. There's no real good grocery stores that sell organic foods within that, in your blocks and stuff. And then you talk about eating healthy, you know. So I congratulate you again for doing this and doing the flip and the switch and trying to get people to be more educated about what they do, what they eat, and how they can better themselves. And so congratulations again. So what's the hardest thing you're doing right now?
The hardest thing is two things. One is raising the funds to build out our commercial facility. It's challenging in many regards. I mean, first, that we're Black women, you know, statistically, we're the least funded group out of everybody, which is ridiculous because we're the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the US. So,
and highest educated.
Right. So that doesn't,
so,
you know, so that's something we keep knocking against that ceiling. Another ceiling is cannabis. You know, yes, it's a very sexy, trendy industry. People want to know about it. They want to see how they can get in, but it's still, I think a lot of people still feel a high level of risk because of the whole federal scheduling of the drugs still.
Right.
So I do understand that, but continuously I try to educate especially communities of color, of just like the vast financial generational wealth opportunity that's in this industry. But nevertheless. And then the third thing is that we're trying to tell people about how wonderful we are, how wonderful our businesses and our financials are, but from a computer. You know, we can't go to these conferences, we can't host events, we can't go to meet, have dinner with somebody, you know, some investor guy or woman. So it's challenging. It's challenging being a new business. So first letting people even know we exist, and then once you know we exist, we also are raising money too, you know. So we've just really been spending the majority of the pandemic building our brand, building our story, like our personal story. Who is Rebecca? Who is Latoya? Where are we from? Why are we doing this? And people have really just really kind of we've really got a great positive reviews, just like on our social media. We've also been on like several podcasts and virtual conferences, and our story is really becoming appealing to a lot of people because we have a mission for why we're doing it, and we're also unicorns, I believe.
Yes.
Some pretty impressive packages.
Definitely.
And the financials are there too.
Right.
You know.
And plus you're lifting weights. You're in the gym.
We're in the gym.
I saw you,
full
yeah.
package.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. We're both ex-athletes, so we believe in total wellness, which is inclusive of working your physical, working your mental, what you put into your body, your food.
Right.
So we're working to be a holistic lifestyle wellness brand.
Very
slowly but surely, as the years go by, we're going to continue to expand to make people well.
Okay, excellent. So tell us about the website. How can somebody contribute to you?
Yeah, that would be great. So we actually have two websites. One is www.calyxeum.com. Calyxeum is spelled Calyxeum. Many may be wondering, what does that even mean? So the calyx part of the cannabis plant is the female part, which is the part that has all the medicine, all the good stuff. Since we're a female-owned brand, that's our name.
Okay.
All the good stuff. And we also do some work consulting with other entrepreneurs in the cannabis space, and that's our consulting site, calyxeumconsulting.com. We also have a nonprofit, Calyxeum Catalyst. The information for our nonprofit and how you can get involved is on our main site, calyxeum.com/community.
Okay, beautiful. So, Rebecca, I know you're kind of busy. I'd let you go. I don't want to, but I have to let you go. Any final words you want to share?
Yeah, I would just love if, anybody wants to reach out to us directly, follow us. We love the support. And then I'm also interested in connecting with people who are interested in investing in the cannabis industry.
Great. So I live in Washington State. You're in Detroit. So could we do that interstate kind of thing going on? I mean, it's a Title I. I mean, it's a drug. So can you mail cannabis across state?
Yeah. So currently, edibles and extracts are okay.
Okay.
It's definitely dependent on the state. For instance, Colorado, Michigan, California all have some intertransport laws that okay a person to transport under a certain amount across state lines, because it's your medicine, know. So as legal suppliers, sometimes a patient may need it out of state, but the bud thing is definitely the tricky part, because sometimes it's very pungent and it may get stolen. So that's really the concern. It's not really the legality part of it nowadays, with so many states having programs, but it's the theft part. People in the postal office or UPS that want to come up real quick. That's the part.
Yeah, that's it. That's one thing we didn't talk about, the whole illegal side, the crime side related to cannabis and everything like that. So I mean, you live in Detroit, stereotypically it's ghetto and gangster and all kind of stuff. So how you survive? Everything all right? I mean,
our facility has actually been broken into once already.
Okay.
But, you know, we have developed a comprehensive security plan as well. We have established a pretty great presence in our community. You know, we've acquired residential properties, we've led community cleanups. We're starting to introduce these programs to the community that they're now benefiting. And they're also seeing, like, okay, these are two Black women from Detroit, and they're
Right.
just coming in the community to do better. So now it's kind of like we support them, you know, they
Okay.
kind of looking out for us.
Right. That's very
Which
good.
is, we got to build that street cred, and we have, and we're going to continuously do that.
Very good. Very.
Calyxeum's facility was designed with 3 key factors in mind: energy efficiency, energy stability, and high yields. Our proprietary blend of nutrients allow for a clean product. 10,000 square feet of our facility will be dedicated to cultivation and processing. So we want to produce 150 to 300 pounds of cannabis every 3 to 4 weeks. Our state-of-the-art equipment will provide our patients with clean medicine that is solvent-free, free from harsh chemicals, and free from harsh pesticides. We'll provide our patients with the best possible medicine that they can have.
Because in Seattle, there was a block, 23rd and Union, which is a spot everybody needed to go to if you want your stuff. And dozens of, maybe hundreds of people were arrested at that spot. And there's a church that's right there at that corner also in the same block. And there was a building that sat empty for a couple of years. And so the pastor of the church is African-American, made an arrangement agreement with the buyer of that location. And the buyer told him it would be a glass shop. Turns out it turns it into a cannabis shop. And so you can literally touch the building of the church and the cannabis store at the same time.
Wow.
That's how close they are. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a really kind of depressing situation in Seattle for that one store in particular called Uncle Ike's. I don't want to give them any credit, but I just did. But yeah, there's some, you know, bad things, history with that. And I'm sure Seattle's not the only city that's probably has happened to. In the sense that, you know, you have that spot, everybody knows, go in to get your drugs, and then with the whole cannabis situation and then getting legal, and the I don't want to be racist, but the colonizers come in there, take it over, and block us out. And so, yeah, and again, I'm really happy to hear that you've been able to make the moves and get recognized by the state, because that's the main thing you got to do. So.
It's been very difficult because the colonizers, they're doing the same thing in the cannabis industry. They're they've arrested us for so many years for making this drug popular and lucrative. And they've seen how much money we've been making low key underground for years.
Yeah.
Years.
Decades.
And they're like, wait a minute, we're not taxing them? Wait a minute. We're not on, so, you know, they decided to regulate it, and in their regulations, they make the barrier of entry practically ridiculous for majority of people of color to even get in from all aspects. It's the financial barriers, it's the skill set, it's the documents that they require, it's the background checks that they require. You have to be damn near perfect. Good thing is LaToya and I are.
Okay.
But you know, we have the hope that with our success, we can encourage more people of color to get into the industry, and then also that we can make more owners and we can hire people that look like us. You know, people that say, hey, I want to get into the cannabis industry, I need some experience. We can hire you, you know, because oftentimes you try to go get a job from the white company and they're not going to hire you. Because they're looking out for their own. So that's what we're trying to do.
No. But there's also the strike, because if you get arrested for any kind of drug, whatever, you can't work in the cannabis industry, at least here in the Washington state. And so,
Right. So that's something else. Yeah, that's something else that we're trying to mitigate for on our lobbying. Because I do a lot of consulting with the state and with the city, but especially the state, on not taking points off for somebody having a marijuana related conviction in their background.
Right.
And they've actually, made it a part of the licensing process that if you have a marijuana conviction, all good.
Right.
You can still be an operator.
That's great. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, so we slowly but surely strides are being, made, but it's really taking a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from a lot of people like me. A lot of passionate advocates around the country are like, this is BS and it needs to change.
Exactly.
Which is happening a lot in our world now, period, with all the protests and
yes.
the debate the other day. It's
my God.
happening,
See, I didn't want to go political on you, but yeah, you watched the debate. That was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be a United States citizen and see the president of your country act like he's in high school, even grade school, yelling and cutting people off and always interjecting and not taking his time and taking his turn. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I really appreciate this conversation. I'm sure we'll talk further and other opportunities.